November 2, 2000. The afternoon sun hung low over the Tidum Road, casting long shadows across the paddy fields of Malom. It was harvesting season, a time when the earth yields its bounty, when hands are stained with the soil of honest labor, when communities come together under open skies. The Tidum Road stretches from Kishampat Junction southward through Churachandpur district, eventually reaching Tidum town across the border in Myanmar. It is an artery of life. Villages cluster along its length, fields spread on either side like a patchwork quilt of green and gold. That afternoon, rural residents moved through their fields with the practiced ease of generations. Rice stalks bent and broke under their hands. The air smelled of earth and grain. A column of Assam Rifles trucks rumbled southward along the Tidum Road. Military convoys were not unusual. This was Manipur, where the Armed Forces Special Powers Act had, since 1958, granted security forces extraordinary powers. Powers to search without warrant, to arrest without charge, to shoot on suspicion, to act with impunity. At Malom, the afternoon shattered. A loud explosion erupted near one of the passing trucks. Debris and dust shot 15 feet into the air. The convoy jerked to a halt. A couple of AR personnel were injured, but what followed would claim 10 innocent lives.
I was 17 and it was my birthday. We were working for harvesting in the field, and there was a sudden explosion, and we found that a bomb exploded targeting a column of Assam Rifles. Within minutes, there was indiscriminate firing from the Assam Rifle troops. We dug on the ground. Bullets were flying on all directions. It was something I will never forget in my life. We were not sure if we would be able to survive that day. I was wondering if I would ever see myself turning into 18 on that day.
At the nearby bus stand, innocent civilians waited for transport home. Others walked along the road, returning from work, from market, from the ordinary rhythms of ordinary lives. The firing continued for several minutes. Security personnel fired in all directions, at shadows, at movement, at people. A middle-aged man, hearing the explosion and gunfire, sought cover behind a memorial tomb on the roadside, a reasonable instinct for survival. The Assam Rifles personnel found him. They assaulted him with the butts of their assault rifles, beat him, dragged him to the bus stand. A single police vehicle, responding to reports of the incident, approached from the south. They too came under fire. Officers jumped from their vehicle and hid in roadside ditches, the state's own police force, pinned down by security forces. At the bus stand and along the road, 10 people were killed on the spot. 10 souls extinguished in minutes. Farmers, workers, people waiting for a bus. The man who had hidden behind the tomb. 10 lives ended not by insurgents, not by militants, but by the security forces meant to protect them.
They killed innocent civilians who were waiting in the bus stand. After that, they went inside Malom and Maitram villages. They assaulted any male members of the villagers, male residents. They assaulted them, they dragged them out of their homes. They made the residents crawl on the road which were filled with stones. My brother was also among the residents who were assaulted. My grandmother, who was around 80 years at the time, along with my aunt and her 2-month-old daughter, were also dragged out by the Assam Rifle personnel, and they took all the residents to the site. That is the Malom Boromokong, where the explosion took place, and where they killed the 10 innocent civilians. They kept all the residents including children, elderly, and newborn infants, in the road in the chilling November night. The whole night they kept there, and they only let them return home in the early morning.
In the fields, those who had survived the gunfire faced an impossible choice: return home and risk death, or stay hidden, not knowing if their families were alive or dead.
I could not return home that day, fearing that they would enter again and drag me out. So I spent the night in a friend's home. In the morning, I went home. Suddenly, we heard reported that security personnel are entering the villages, Maitram and Malom village again, to conduct a search operation. So we fled our home. I stayed at a friend's home at Utlo. Some villagers returned later that afternoon. Some returned after a day or two. And those male members who were dragged out and assaulted returned with swollen faces and bruises all over their bodies. And my aunt's 2-month-old daughter, she was sick for weeks after that incident, as she also spent the night in the cold winter night of November.
10 people were killed on November 2nd, 2000. They were not statistics. They were not collateral damage. They were human beings with names, with families, with futures stolen from them. Among them were fathers, mothers, sisters, and brothers. People who had been working, waiting, walking home. There was a bright student, a young man who had once received a National Bravery Award, a life of promise, of achievement, of potential. In the aftermath, the families sought justice. They filed complaints. They demanded accountability. They asked one simple question: why? The answer was always the same: the Armed Forces Special Powers Act.
This all took place under the impunity of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act that grants the power to shoot, to kill any individual on suspicion. Under the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, the security forces enjoy immunity. They can kill, they cannot be prosecuted unless the central government grants prosecution sanction.
The Malom Massacre, as it came to be known, was not an isolated incident. It was part of a pattern, a decades-long history of extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, torture, and rape, all carried out under the impunity granted by Armed Forces Special Powers Act. There was the incident at RIMS Hospital, at Herangoi Thong Volleyball Ground, at Tonsan Lamkai, at Oi Nam Long Village, where Operation Bluebird revealed brutality of unspeakable proportions. Thousands of cases, thousands of victims, and across all of them, one constant: impunity.
On that day, 10 people were killed. One of them was my classmate. His name was Shobham Prakash. He was a Pung artist. And there was also a basemate, and his name was Shobham Chandramani. He had won National Child Bravery Award for saving a drowning kid when he was a child.
One woman said, "Enough." On November 4th, 2000, just 2 days after the Malom Massacre, a 28-year-old woman named Iram Chanu Sharmila began a hunger strike. She made one demand: repeal the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. She would not eat for 16 years. For 16 years, Iram Sharmila became the Iron Lady of Manipur. She was force-fed through a nasal tube. She was imprisoned. She became a living symbol of resistance, of sacrifice, of a people's refusal to accept injustice. In 2016, after 16 years, she ended her hunger strike. but the Armed Forces Special Powers Act remained in force. But her sacrifice had ensured that the world knew that Malom would not be forgotten, that the 10 lives lost would not fade into statistics.
Those 10 lives were lost for no reason. And those who pull the trigger and kill them are still walking free till today. November 2nd used to be my birthday. After that day, I haven't celebrated my birthday till today. How could I celebrate my birthday? Now I am over 40 years old. In the four last 25 years, I haven't forgot the incident. I still see those incidents vividly in my eyes whenever I remember the incident. Whenever another November 2nd comes, I carry this memory with me every day, everywhere for the last 25 years.
The Malom Massacre was not an aberration, it was a feature of the system. Under the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, there have been thousands of cases of extrajudicial killings, thousands of enforced disappearances, people taken from their homes, never seen again, thousands of cases of torture, sexual violence used as a weapon of control. And across all of these cases, the same pattern: no accountability, no justice, no consequences. The law protects the perpetrators. The state shields the guilty. And the victims are left with grief, trauma, and the knowledge that their suffering does not matter to those in power. But they resist, they remember, they demand justice, even when justice seems impossible. Because to forget would be to let the violence win. To stay silent would be to accept that some lives matter less than others. November 2nd, 2000. 10 lives were taken on the Tidum Road in Malom. Their names deserve to be remembered. Their stories deserve to be told. Their deaths demand justice. 25 years later, Malom continues. Fields are still harvested. Life persists. But the wounds remain. The trauma lingers. The demand for justice echoes. This is not just a story of the past. It is a story of the present. A reminder that impunity anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. 10 lives, a nation's shame. Remember them and demand justice. Never forget,